You've seen the trailers, you've heard the buzz. Well, today we're getting more NBA 2K22 details straight from the source. Here's gameplay director Mike Wang. I know you want to learn more about NBA 2K22, so here to talk about it is the source himself, gameplay director Mike Wang. Welcome again to 2K TV. Always a pleasure having you on.
It's a great pleasure being here again, Alexis. How are you doing?
I'm doing so well. So we're getting close to launch time, and you've released some details on your blog and social media. So tell us what's going on with NBA 2K22 that you can share with us.
Oh, wow. There's so many things to share, Alexis. And the city got a big rework. On Gen 4, there's a cruise boat. It's crazy. There's just so much going on with gameplay, an all-new defensive mechanic system that feels way better to me. It's a lot more fun, a lot more competitive. And just across the board, so many areas were touched. So I don't know where we want to start, but let's talk about some gameplay maybe.
All right, let's do that. What do you think the community is going to be most excited about with gameplay changes?
It's going to be a hard one to pinpoint. I'm going to say two things, but number one, because this was one of our biggest pillars for gameplay this year, it's going to be defense. And I think that's going to be just perimeter defense, body ups on the floor, movement and how the players feel just in on-ball defensive stances and on-ball defensive situations. But at the rim especially, and contesting shots, all that stuff was reworked. We have an all-new block system. It just feels much more rewarding on the defensive end of the floor, just making plays and getting stops. So I think that's going to be the most exciting thing for our community because it's just a much more balanced game and a much more fun game to play. And the second thing I'm going to say is, because this is one of my personal favorites, is going to be dribbling. I think that just all the stuff we've added there with the new combos and the new signature moves, it's just going to be a lot of fun. So if you're a dribble guy, a dribble head, you're going to have a lot to work with. That's a good question, because that's something that we're always trying to balance and tune, because we don't really want there to be one dominant archetype, right? So the power forward thing is fixed, and it's much more spread out in terms of the badges you get per position and heights and archetypes. But one thing we've really focused on was trying to make all the different heights and positions have unique strengths and abilities. So one thing that I think might actually be interesting is we might have a lot of smaller players this year. If you are 6 foot or under, you get a massive speed boost. You have access to higher ball handling ratings as well as like 3-point ratings. So a lot of people might gravitate toward that direction this year. Having said that, in our online test here internally, we've got a guy who plays as like a 7-foot center every single time, and he is so dominant in our games. So, I think it's a good mix, because I think you're going to have people who want to be kind of that in the middle road, small forward, power forward, and still kind of do it all. But you might see some players gravitate toward like point guards, small point guards even, and then like big centers, and hopefully we have the whole gambit covered and it's a much more balanced experience overall.
What are the gameplay differences between Gen 4 and Gen 5?
That's an interesting question, because we wanted to do our best to try to keep parity between Gen 5 and Gen 4 as much as possible. So all the stuff that I mentioned before, like the dribble moves and combos, all that's going for both gens. But Gen 5 has some great features that are exclusive to that generation, because all the stuff we did with foot planting, a lot of tech with movement, that's all going to be exclusive to Gen 5. And we also have some pretty interesting features, which we're going to probably go into in a little bit later, with alley-oops and with dunks, that provides a bit of a skill mechanic to those specific moves. So stay tuned for more on that. But they're a lot of fun to use, and I think our gamers are going to love just trying out these new features that are specific to Gen 5.
Well, thank you so much for giving us a preview of NBA 2K22. We are so excited for the game to release, and I know you are so excited as well. Thanks again for joining. What is Mike Wang most excited about with 2K22 gameplay?
Yeah, and that's, I think just what I alluded to is just the game feels way more balanced, and it makes more sense just in terms of how we're rewarding players if they are doing the right thing on the court. I know it sounds really general and really basic, but a lot of times in the past, sometimes you'd make the right play or do the right thing, but you weren't always rewarded for it. And in 2K22, I feel like that's it's much more just a one-to-one. If you make the right play, you get rewarded. You get the right stops, or you score. So just shooting open shots, taking high IQ shots, much more rewarded. It just feels way better to make the right play, get open, knock down those open jumpers. They're so much fun to play with. And Luka too, right? We brought in Luka from OCAP, and he gave us his patented step back jumper. and his moves, and so the nicest guy and super funny. Just a pleasure to work with. So we're so excited that he's our cover guy this year.
And that's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more about Seasons?
Yeah, so Seasons is going to be, we've had it in the past with my team. And the goal that Eric Benish wanted this year was to really extend the seasons across the entire game. So I'll speak to gameplay because that's my area. What we're doing with Seasons is we're going to try and release content throughout the entire year. So on day one, we've usually just thrown all the animations at you, all the signature moves and shots and everything. But we're going to try and roll that out across the year just to kind of change the meta up a little bit, give people something to look forward to. And it's really going to, I think, just prolong the life of the game and make people just excited to try new things as the year goes on.
Mike, I know that a lot of players love making the dominant archetypes of NBA 2K and NBA 2K21. It seemed like it was the power forward. So Mike, what do you think the dominant archetype will be for NBA 2K20?